Kevin Gordon here from Autosavant.com with your March 28th edition of the afternoon commute. It is exciting times. I feel like a kid at Christmas. It's auto show season, and as a result, the news and interesting information is coming out fast and furious these days. You may notice that I'm not coming to you from the Fit anymore. Traded the Fit in for a Mazda 3 Skyactiv today, and initial impressions are pretty good. You know, Mazda sort of rambles on in their commercials about them making driver's cars, and I have to say, this thing's a pretty happily driving little car. It's got some of the best seats I've been in a while. You know, they're well bolstered without being obnoxious. Thigh bolsters are good enough. I'll do a full video review of this and continue to give you any thoughts I have as we go out throughout the week with it. So what's going on in the automotive world? Let's start with Jeep. Every year Jeep builds a bunch of prototype models for the Easter Jeep Safari. And this year they really pulled out all the stops. And the most exciting thing that came out of their concepts this year is the Jeep Mighty FC, or forward controls. A picture of that is here. The Mighty FC started life at some point as a Jeep Wrangler, but of course, the majority of changes have to do with the fact that now the cab sits on top of, if not in front of, the front axle, which is a monstrous 8-lug setup, and it rides on 40-inch tires. The bed has side-folding bed rails to make loading easier, and it's a pretty interesting thing. Whether they make it, I highly doubt it. But
incoming call. Press the pickup button to answer.
Pardon me? The other concepts that they brought are two Jeep Wranglers that are both powered by the 6.4-liter Hemi, a Jeep truck concept that has a bit of a retro front end on it, and a upgraded Grand Cherokee. One thought there, which is the Jeep truck concept, which is, you know, a Jeep with some kind of truck bed on the back of it. They keep producing this as a concept, and it's true you can go buy aftermarket kits that'll do the conversion, but it really is time for Jeep to either, you know, go or get off the pot on this one, and I think they really should build it. With the Ford Ranger being out of the market, the smaller pickup market right now is sort of ripe for somebody else to step in with a new product and take some of the sales away from Toyota, with them being really the only ones who build a smaller than full-size truck that sells anymore. Also, this week, a few weeks ago, I mentioned about the Joint Light Tactical Vehicle program that Ford was initially bidding on but pulled themselves out of after the deadline for a prototype was so short that they felt that it was unfair and they couldn't produce anything that they thought would be valuable. The Joint Light Tactical Vehicle program is really to replace the Humvee as a vehicle for wars and for our armed services. Well, BAE, the defense contractor, along with a few of the other ones, Northrop Grumman and others, came out with their, at least, design for their prototype. And guess what it's powered by? The same Ford Power Stroke diesel that you get in the Super Duty. So while it seems that Ford may have stepped out of the race for this, they are included in it, at least in some form. So it should be interesting to see that thing start to come out. A picture of what it's planned to look like, at least, is here. And even though there's no plans for it, it should be interesting to see if that ever becomes some type of civilian vehicle that people can get their hands on, much like the Humvee eventually became a vehicle that wannabes and Beverly Hills cruising stereotypes could go and drive around. And to close out today, let's talk a little bit about General Motors. I was on the phone with GM today, and I made the comment that it seems like they've had more technology-based press releases out in the last 48 hours than I think they have in like the last 2 years. I mean, they're just piling on the amount of tech releases they're coming up with. And, it's near and dear to my heart, so I've been very interested. This morning, we put up an article about the high-end Cadillac system that'll be in the ATS and the XTS, focused around the safety systems and Cadillac Q, or Cadillac user experience, that they plan to put as their nav display. Well, later today, they announced another form of General Motors navigation, which is going to be called GoGo Link. And outside of Q, all the rest of the GM systems seem to end in Link. So MyLink, so on and so forth. This one's going to be called GoGo Link. It'll be available in the Chevy Sonic and the Chevy Spark. So their new A-class competitor that should be out this summer, and the Sonic, their compact or even subcompact car that is on the market. What's interesting about this? Well, I've talked on the afternoon commute and with anybody who's had the unfortunate situation to spend any kind of real time with me about the fact that I wonder if the battleground for in-car technology is going to be smarter and smarter installed systems, or dumb screens in the cars and smartphones that are connected to them that are then representing their information. Well, first to market with this is GM with this GoGo Link system. So the way this is going to work is there's a reasonably high definition 7-inch display that's going to be on the dash. Then through either Bluetooth, USB, you plug your phone into it, you'll be able to connect your smartphone to the car, and through app access, navigate applications on your smartphone through the touchscreen in the car. It also means that the cost of entry for this is going to be reasonably low, and the only thing that you might be required to buy, if you want it, is the navigation app for your phone. So it's a pretty darn interesting thing, and I actually plan to write up a full detailed article about it later today, so stay tuned for that. And as I said, closing out with all GM stuff today, last week I believe, GM announced that it would no longer be campaigning the Impala in NASCAR in 2013, but they didn't name what car would be replacing it. So that's caused a bit of speculation. Then they went on to say that it would be a completely new namesake for the current models within GM, which means it's not going to be a car that's in the lineup currently at GM. So what does that leave? Well, now as we get closer and closer to the New York Auto Show, we're also finding out that there's going to be a new sedan announced at the New York Auto Show. The rumors are all over the place about what that can be. The guess is that it's some kind of rear-wheel drive based platform. And my guess is that it's going to be the Caprice. The Caprice will be back as a rear-wheel drive, four-door sedan in the United States. And I say that because I've seen locally the Caprice police package car around. And it's a good-looking thing. It's, I think, still based off that Zeta, and don't shoot the messenger if I'm wrong on this one, platform that's still out of the, Holdens and the Australian versions of the GMs. So excitement's building as we get closer to New York. I personally can't wait for it. We'll be there definitely the first day of the show, and we'll see what's happening if we want to go back for day number 2, or if we get enough shoved down the old gullet in day 1. As usual, I'm Kevin Gordon, your March 28th edition of the Afternoon Commute, and I look forward to talking to you guys tomorrow.